Hi, and welcome back to day 4 of National Diabetes Awareness Month. Every single day this month, I will be vlogging about a various topic and how it relates to diabetes. Today's topic is sleep. A few weeks ago, I did a presentation in one of my classes about nutrition, sleep, and the impact on blood glucose. I posted about this on my Instagram as well as on one of my day in the life on YouTube, and I got a lot of people wondering what is the impact of sleep on diabetes. So in this video, I'm going to talk about the impact of sleep on diabetes as well as the impact of diabetes on sleep in my experience. So let's start with the latter. How does diabetes impact my sleep? As you guessed it, it does not help it. Although I'm somebody who has a really easy time falling asleep, diabetes tends to interrupt my overnight, whether I have a high blood sugar or a low blood sugar. Fortunately, having the Omnipod 5 and looping technology has really helped eliminate a lot of these interruptions, but from time to time, I still will get them. Personally, I do like to have my dexcom alerts on overnight, just because I do like to stay in range, and overnight, that's like a third of your day. So if I'm able to stay in range overnight, that is huge to improve my time in range as well as keep my A1C where I like it. However, there are times when I value a good night's sleep over my blood sugars. For example, a few weeks ago, I had a really bad cold and my sleep was absolutely terrible. Not to mention, because I had a cold, I had so much insulin resistance and I was constantly giving myself corrections overnight. I got to a point where one day I just turned off those Dexcom alarms and I let myself get a good night's sleep. In the end, that probably helped my overall health so much more than keeping myself in range because I really just needed that really good night's sleep in order to recover and for my body to be able to heal. So while there are absolutely times that I do have my Dexcom alerts off overnight, I tend to value having my blood sugar in range overnight, even if it means getting up once in the night to give a small correction. So let's talk about how sleep impacts diabetes. I'm not going to go into the nitty-gritty of the research that I was doing because honestly and ironically, I would probably put myself and you to sleep. But I will talk about what most research says about the impact of sleep on insulin resistance. Personally, I didn't know the impact of insulin resistance for a lot of my life with diabetes. It was just this term that I know associated with type 2 diabetes, but I didn't understand the impact of it with type 1 diabetes. If you ever had one of these times where you ate something one day and then you had it the next day, it was at the same time, you gave the same bolus, but you had two totally different results, that could be due to insulin resistance. Insulin resistance is essentially how effectively our body is able to use insulin. It can be impacted by things like exercise, the macronutrient composition of our diet, stress, and obviously sleep. So essentially what happens is when we get a poor night's sleep, our insulin resistance is going to increase that next day. Not to mention there are other hormones in our body that cue hunger as well as tell us when we're full that are also going to be a little bit off the day after a bad night's sleep. So we're going to feel more hungry, we're not going to feel full, and we're going to have this increased insulin resistance. All together, this creates like a perfect storm for uncontrolled blood sugars. It's important as a person with type 1 diabetes to get a good night's sleep in order to have better blood sugars, more predictable blood sugars, and just obviously feel better. And it's not only the sleep time that is going to impact our blood glucose the next day, but it's also the sleep efficacy, or essentially how well you're sleeping. What time we're going to bed can also impact that insulin resistance. So what does this mean for us as people with type 1 diabetes? Well, first of all, we've got a little bit of a cycle going on. If we're up all night correcting these high and low blood sugars, and so we get a poor night's sleep, the next day we're probably going to have more insulin resistance and have a higher chance at uncontrolled blood sugars that day too. And then on the other hand, the positive cycle would be the better sleep that we get, the better blood sugars we'll have during the day and the next night, and then the better sleep that we'll get. If you find yourself in that negative cycle, it's all about breaking it. Personally, for me, I find that doing basal testing overnight can really help keep my blood sugars stable overnight for future nights. If you've never done a basal test, I'll link the blog below. This really helped me be able to stay more stable overnight and get better blood sugars. Another way to help is to have a bedtime routine and to go to bed and wake up at about the same time every day. I know this can be difficult, especially if you have like a funky work or school schedule, but even trying to maintain some kind of a schedule has been shown to improve sleep quality. And lastly, like I was saying earlier, there are absolutely times where I do not worry about my blood sugars overnight and I prioritize that good quality sleep because I know that it's going to set me up for success the next day and future days to come. The more that you learn about sleep and how to improve your sleep quality can really make a difference in all aspects of your life. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Meet me back here tomorrow and I will be talking about another topic, which I haven't decided yet, but I should. Anyways, please feel free to drop topics you want to hear me talk about. Like and subscribe. I love you guys so much. Check me out on my other platforms, and I hope you have an awesome day.